feels like yesterday that last season ended, and in the flash of an eye, a new season has started. Wow, I feel like with all the tournaments, all the football, all the sporting events, it's been so jam-packed that it hasn't even really felt like any of us had really had any time off from football. But maybe that's a good thing, right? Because right now, we get ready to take on Man City at home on the opening game of the new 24-25 season. And this time we have a new manager at hand in Enzo Maresca. Can he hopefully take this fabled project forward and become the first manager to unlock the potential in this squad? That will be the challenge for Maresca this whole season. But on Sunday, this will be a case of master versus apprentice. Guardiola versus his former pupil. I think Maresca will be anticipating and relishing this game, and he will be ready with a few surprises of his own against Guardiola. We're 5 for 5 when it comes to new managers not winning their opening games of a new season. What also doesn't help is that we haven't beaten Man City in the past 6 games. It gets worse. The last time we even beat Man City in any game of football came in our infamous Champions League win against them. It's been 3 years since we've seen us beat Man City, so everything's going against Maresca at the moment. Still though, I guess we can rejoice a little bit at the fact that Guardiola has confirmed that Rodri will be missing the game, and he's been such a thorn in our sides over the seasons. Of course, some very unfortunate news fell upon Oscar Bob, who suffered a leg fracture. Hopefully recovers okay. And Guardiola also confirmed that star boys such as Phil Foden, Kyle Walker and John Stones aren't even fit enough to even last 90 minutes of football. So in a way, this is probably the best opportunity we'll see in a long time when it comes to taking on Man City. The question is, will Maresca use a lineup that he started the game with against Man City in our pre-season game against them, or will he go for a more offensive lineup which we saw in the second half? And with that second half lineup in particular, we were able to restore a little bit of dignity at least by securing a 2-2 second half draw. Regardless, we will learn a lot on Sunday. We will learn more about Maresca's ideas. Most importantly, we will learn how ready the team is for the new Premier League season. Pre-season preparation wasn't perfect. It wasn't even ideal. But right now, the past doesn't really matter anymore. It's all about the future. And we must get ready to take on Man City. We must have passion. We must be aggressive. But most importantly, we must have that belief that we can beat Man City on the opening day of this season. So my friends, I hope you guys are getting ready and excited for a new Premier League season. Hit that like button if you feel like we can secure the W against them. Only good vibes, only positivity right now. And very quickly, before we move on with this preview, I thought I'd make my own fantasy team league. So if you guys want to join in the BlueLionsTV FPL League, there are going to be links in the description and the top comment. And I do plan on offering prizes as the season goes on, so it might be worth getting involved. So my friends, hope you guys enjoy, and let's get straight into things. We kickstart this preview by getting straight into Maresca's press conference, and in typical Chelsea manager fashion, he arrived late as per. But regardless, we get into things, and Maresca reiterated the fact that the team is improving day by day. We've only started 1 month ago. It's too early for me to see the team the way I want, but in terms of a process, it's ahead of schedule. So that's pretty positive news. I guess maybe it helps a little bit that a lot of these players had a bit of an idea of how to play in this system under Pochettino. Does that help? A little bit. Still though, he remained pretty coy in terms of this season's ambitions by basically communicating that we're going to take things game by game, and I think that is better than what Pochettino did last season by saying this is a title challenge, we're ready, we're coming, and unfortunately preparations kind of worked out against him. We got some confirmation on the latest transfer stories involving Gallagher, Felix, and more. Maresca revealed obviously that Gallagher has been training away from the first team. He won't be in selection or contention for the game tomorrow. He has been doing a few medical tests in the meantime, and it just makes a lot of sense because you're not going to use him when he's not being involved in any preseason games and potentially jeopardize his move to Atletico Madrid by picking up an injury. That's not going to happen. And obviously in the case of Felix Osimhen, I hope you guys didn't expect to hear anything salacious or anything interesting from Maresca. Of course, they aren't his players, so out of respect, he ain't gonna talk about them. I've been meaning to release a best 11 predicted lineup video. I've had no time, it's been really annoying, and I'm hoping that maybe tomorrow there'll be a time to at least release that, so fingers crossed I'm able to come through for you guys. But to move on, let's discuss Maresca's thoughts on taking on his former club in Man City. Maresca naturally is relishing the challenge. As Pep said earlier today, he doesn't think that Chelsea are becoming a Man City clone. He feels that Maresca has his own ideas, and I think that's respectful, and I think that's more than fair because he does. Both managers believe in the philosophy, but the beauty really comes from their own interpretations on how to play that way. Maresca said, with Pep Guardiola being at Man City now for 8 to 9 years, it affords Pep the luxury to try and tinker and try new things. So I think Maresca's communicating that he's expecting some surprises from Guardiola on Sunday, and I think Maresca will come with his own surprises in store for Pep. But he is right with what he says with Guardiola, because you have to constantly tweak your squad every 3 to 4 years, and you know that's from the Sir Alex Ferguson rulebook. So Maresca is ready for Guardiola. That's reassuring to hear. And to end things, the question on all our minds: is Pedro Neto ready to start against Man City? Maresca revealed that he's in great physical condition, and I would love to hear that. The player and Neto himself said that he feels like he's approaching and currently is in peak form. So that is great news to hear. But Maresca didn't reveal whether he will start the game. He said he could start, maybe he might start from the bench. And obviously, with such a big game coming up, you're not going to reveal anything in the press conference. I want Guardiola to constantly keep guessing. We saw what Neto did against Man City last season. I mean, he absolutely tore them apart. And a part of me feels like Maresca wouldn't feel afraid to maybe start Neto immediately and really have some fun against Man City. So I think that's the conference out of the way, because it's now time to discuss the predicted lineup for our first game of the season against Man City. I've been looking forward to getting to this part of the video, so let's not waste any time. I'm expecting to see some surprises, but logical surprises. We'll see a few tweaks, but with us having a full strength squad, outside of a suspended Reece James, who's nursing a very minor hamstring injury, there's an abundance of talent for Maresca to select right now that it might be a bit harder than we actually realize. I mean, there's so many different ways to approach a game. There's so many different players to use. Yes, some of them are a bit more developed than others in terms of getting used to Maresca's ways, being physically ready. But to have a full strength squad like this, it has been a luxury that I think most former managers would have been praying for during their times here. So let's get into the lineup, and this is the Maresca lineup I think he might go for. Up front, I think Mark Hughes starts. Alongside him, I see Cole Palmer on the right side. I see Sterling on the left-hand side. In midfield, I've gone for Nkunku, Enzo Fernandez, Romeo Lavia. Defense of Cucurella, Koval Fofana, Malo Gusto and Robert Sanchez in goal. Now I'm going to explain why I think this could be the case, and a lot of this comes from our last performance against Inter Milan. I saw some surprises that I just hadn't seen at all during the whole preseason, and the timing of these surprises couldn't have been a coincidence. Now, the big difference we saw was in the shape of the team, because traditionally we have been seeing a 3-2-4-1 in attack, but against Inter Milan, we saw a 3-3-4. And this really impressed me, and I really felt a good energy when I saw that performance against Inter. Now, how it worked was having a Gu up front, and then Kiernan Dewsbury-Hall had the license to play off him and near him. We were able to hold the width by having wingers holding each flank, but what really helped was the control we had in central areas. 3 in midfield, 3 in defense. 3 in midfield to have more men on the ball, behind the ball, fighting for the ball. And of course, 3 at the back to help mitigate counterattacks. we formed a bit of a diamond shape in terms of the structure of the team, and the diamond came from the attack to the midfield. And I just love the balance and combinations we saw across the whole pitch. Wide areas, we had enough support. Centrally, we had enough support as well too. But I think to really do justice to that, I think Agu has to start. He started every game nearly in pre-season. Maresca rates him. His work rate has been impressive. He's been very intense with what he does, and that's needed. You need a striker that can press. Is Nico fully fit right now to do that job? Maybe, but I think the safe option right now is to start the game with Gu, because at least you can make subs as the game goes on. I think Sterling at the moment might start the game with Neto ending the game, and I think Sterling's a lot more reliable compared to Mudryk, and I think Cole Palmer will be the big boy we see on the right hand side. I personally feel like more inclination towards using offensive players is what's needed against Man City. Take advantage of the fact that Rodri isn't going to play. Take advantage of the fact that a lot of their defenders aren't fully fit too. We're playing at home. Use the fans' energy, the fans' optimism to take on Man City. When we did that in the second half of that pre-season game, we came back to make it 2-2 in that half, and we created very good chances. Personally, I think it's very harsh not to see Madueke on that right flank, but in the meantime, I think this is the lineup we could see Maresca choose to start the game against Man City. Obviously, the defense speaks for itself. It's our best one at the moment. And Lavia has started every single game, and I think he's more ready now compared to Caicedo, who can end the game at the meantime. We don't have to force him back in the team. So that's my Maresca lineup, but I'm going to do things a bit differently, and I'm going to give you guys my own lineup to end this video. Now my lineup goes like this. I've gone for some risks. I've gone for Nkunku up front alongside Neto, Madueke. In midfield, I've gone for Enzo. I've gone for Lavia. I've gone for Cole Palmer. In defense, of course, Gusto, Fofana, Korbel, Cucurella, and Sanchez in goal. Yes, I know I'm contradicting myself based on what I said about you earlier, but it's a risk I'm taking because Nkunku, I think, could also be a pretty intelligent striker to have. And the main reason why I've gone for this risk for my own personal lineup is that I saw a great understanding between Madueke and Cole Palmer. I think Madueke was one of the best performers in pre-season. For him to lose a spot in the team, I think, would be very harsh because his form could really matter against Man City. And I'd love to see him and Palmer combining again, like what they did during the second half of last season. In midfield, Enzo in that left side as an 8, connecting all phases of the game. Palmer would actually play in the central areas, just as he did as the season ended last season, to accommodate Madueke. And obviously I've gone for Neto because I think if he's fully fit, I think he's more than good enough to start now. I can't imagine outside of like pressing duties, it's going to be that difficult for a player like him to bring his offensive threat to the game, especially when we haven't seen as much from Sterling or Mudryk throughout pre-season. And obviously the back five speaks for itself. Lavia started every single game. I think he starts, and the defense is the best one on paper, the best balance. They were very aggressive against Inter Milan. They followed their strikers into the opponent's half, and they did the things the correct way that I want to see. So my friends, that is the first preview done and dusted for the season. My prediction to end things, I'm going for a 2-2 draw. I do feel like both teams might cancel each other out. I think City just have quality to take advantage of moments in games like what we don't have. We might play a great game, but I do feel like because we aren't tactically perfect, we could be susceptible to mistakes, exposing our good performance. So I think a 2-2 draw will be the result. And on that note, my friends, that's the end of today's previews. I hope you guys enjoy. Hit that like button, share your thoughts and opinions too. I'm Nini FC, this is BlueLionsTV. See you all soon, my friends.